regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners. If you would, could you all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Well, what was a short agenda has gotten even shorter due to illness. We've had a number of bugs going through Town Hall. Manager Ferguson's not here, and a few others are not here. So item D1, the recognition, is being moved out a couple of weeks so it can be done with all parties present and not in absentia. And then obviously Town Manager's discussion and report will either be handled through individual requests to the board or at the next meeting. So that means we're removing D1 and I3. So with those changes, I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
We have nobody signed up for public comments on items on the agenda since there's very little on the agenda. So with that, we will move to the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay. That takes us all the way down to Commissioner board comments. Do you have the remote? So Greg asked me to go ahead and cover something that we review on a quarterly basis, and in essence, we wanted to put all the information out, year-to-date information out, as it pertains to public information requests. From a transparency standpoint, anybody, anywhere can can submit and request public information. We have a duty and an obligation. We have to acknowledge the requests. We determine if we have the information as requested. We fulfill that request in a reasonable amount of time, and that reasonable amount of time is in quotations for a reason, and I'll explain that. And we have to, and per statute, we acknowledge the fact that staff, the clerk's office, has regular duties, and especially as we try to digitize things, information is often stored in many different locations and formats. We still have stuff that's sitting in sheds. We have tried to digitize as much as we can through Laserfish. Obviously, we've made huge strides by automating the agendas and things like that, but it still takes time to pull all those things together. And they're not all in the same, even when digitized, not in the same data format. You'll see that we've had 82 requests, 64 of which are public, 18 are staff. That 18 of staff are really things that have to do with the data being in a number of different formats in a number of different places. We've had requests that go back to 2002, 2003, and that kind of thing. It takes time to find that stuff. Not all the requests are the same. Of the 64, 10 of those requests will consume over 600 clerk hours and actually consume all of the legal fees that you'll see in the next bullet. And every request has to follow a process to ensure transparency. The impact of the 82 requests, somewhere in the neighborhood of 900 hours plus and counting on staff. Give you a perspective, we're not even quite three quarters of the way through the fiscal year, so we've already exceeded a full-time equivalent. So we've been trying to scramble with multiple resources to try to fulfill these. Policy-wise, they have other duties. But right now we're sitting at about 900 plus hours of staff time to fulfill these. The legal fees associated with it somewhere in the neighborhood of $17,800 and counting. Not being critical of the bill, Chaplain. It's just reality. And I'll explain why in a minute. During the budget process, this has gotten to be such a burden on staff from a fitting it in with the regular duties that they are looking at all of the and doing some research on policy, on tools. How do we bring this together? How do we streamline this? How do we do a better job of this? How do we make it more accessible to the public when these requests come in? And they're going to bring those forward. It's a combination of policy recommendations and tool recommendations. Now that we have things digitized, will come forward in the budget process. The next several, and all these will be posted out on these will be added to the agenda item. We were finishing it up this afternoon. The next 3 pages, not that I'm going to go through it in detail, list everything. We did it in alphabetical order in terms of the request, what's being requested, et cetera. And I'll give you, so we're not trying to pick on anybody, how does this get complex? Take the first one, the anonymous one, and it went after all my emails. When you make a request for an email, what staff has to do is then go check the chain. I, as mayor, often copy the whole board and the town manager. So then they have to go and check the chain for every individual that's copied and to check to see if those have been forwarded by any individual. What that request got to was somewhere in the neighborhood of 26,000 emails when they took all the chains and gathered them up. That's what happens when people make requests for emails. They have to inspect every chain, every link that is out there from an original email, and that's what takes time. That's what consumes the time. That's what primarily Melody and Kelly work on when they go through it. You can see I'm not going to highlight any one other than to say these are the public ones. You see names you recognize, some names we don't know who they are. That happens as well. We honor them, and as long as we can get them back to the location that sent the request, we get them back. And so wanted to put this out there for the board to see because we've all been asking for it. And it gives you an idea as well. Just when Melody says she's busy, these are some of the things that she's working on in terms of trying to pull all these things together. So just wanted to get it to you. Greg asked me to get it to you. Didn't want to hold it any longer as they were trying to put it together. Any questions? I just wanted.
Actually, I just have a question. Noticing that Commissioner McMillan and myself were listed on here. Was this before we were sworn in? I don't even.
That's correct.
Okay, because
it was information that y'all had requested.
Okay.
In 2017.
I was just surprised to see when we're doing research that our name was be on there. So it was just.
So this was for the fiscal year, for this fiscal year.
Okay.
Anybody makes a request and the clerk has to go after it, it's considered by law an information request.
If a commissioner is doing it for research purposes, is it
if you
still
make
listed
a request
as
and they have to go pull the data, it's an information request.
Okay.
And hopefully, as we fix our tools and some of the recommendations coming forward, no question about it, our website is a bear to try to use. That leads to some of the requests as well. Yeah, all these are all requests that come in and filed, and by law we have to log them, record them, and take care of them. So, any other questions?
So regarding the policy, when we discuss the policy recommendations, is that where would that be where we talk about at what point Melody would be doing her normal duties as doing that first before working on the public information requests, or?
Well, yeah, anything will be fair game. I found this out today. Hopefully you don't get embarrassed by me sharing this. She's going on and getting her advanced degree, and one of the research projects that she's decided to take up is a very practical example. What's the law and how do you streamline records requests? So she's actually using Waxhaw as a case study to try to figure out what she can bring forward policy-wise, et cetera. So Melody started the process. She's going to bring it forward. She was explaining to me there's all sorts of tools out there that can begin to help it. That's one side of it. There's another side of it. We don't have an archive policy other than to say we'll archive everything. We'll keep everything. And when it has no town business purpose, we really don't need to keep it. And so that's the other part of it. While she's handling what we have, we're going to have the attorney look at what's a reasonable archive policy. We're not, by any means, the only one. I was talking to the league attorneys. They're getting requests like this all the time, just a lot of requests consuming a lot of statewide resources, time, talent, and money to fulfill them.
I just, I think it was at last meeting or a couple meetings ago when we had a citizen to talk about how behind we were on the website with the minutes, and I'm just thinking we need to maybe put it at priority that that Melody work on things like that before working on these, just to make sure that they're regular.
Yeah, and
business
I
is
would
being
anticipate, I think some of us have talked about no more than 4 hours a week. 30 plus hours on your day job and 4 hours on your night job. And if you look at that and you apply that math, we would take about 3 years to fulfill the requests that we have. So we got to do something. Not only do we have to establish a policy, but we have to automate this. This is getting uncontrollable because, I mean, when you add the full-time equivalent and the legal hours, and that's a conservative estimate, we're probably approaching $100,000 in real dollars that have been expended on this. And then as we automate this and put a terminal that so citizens and people can come in and look at it online, that's an additional expense, an additional security expense and all that. So a lot of things to consider there. Any other questions? Okay. That was the only thing I wanted to report on. Commissioner Stewart? Or Commissioner Burns, sorry. Commissioner Lee?
Nothing
Wesley?
tonight.
Nope. Burrow. All right. With that, we do have one individual that would like to talk in general. Bonnie?
Hello, my name is Bonnie Racinko, and I live at 2501 Providence Road South. I'm here tonight because I want to make it clear to the board, especially to Commissioner Burns and Lee, to the staff, especially Melody, who is bogged down with these requests that was just noticed, and to the citizens of Waxhaw, that someone is fraudulently using the name of B. Racinko to obtain public records of all emails for Commissioner Burns and Lee, to include their notes from a retreat and a meeting. The stupidity of the person and this cowardly act is beyond help. If this person was smart and had checked, they would know there is only one Racinko in North Carolina, and that is me, Bonnie Racinko. I am very proud of my name and would never use a fake name to obtain anything. I can only surmise that using Bonnie Racinko because it is a steadfast and a very credible name, while yours is not. I guess I could consider that as a compliment, but I don't. I believe you are a coward and a sneak with no scruples or a moral compass to determine right from wrong. I think you are walking on a thin line. What's next? Identity theft? Obviously, you do not learn the meaning of "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's possessions." Lest you forget, my name is my possession, not yours, so stop coveting. Of course, with your lack of morals, it probably means nothing to you. In my opinion, this sneaky, cowardly act of yours says a lot about your character. You are ashamed of your name. You like drama. You will do just about anything for attention. You like to stir the pot, incite trouble. You think you are smarter than the average person. It is all about you and possess the I, me, me syndrome. And most of all, you love to brag about your accomplishments. And that, dear one, is how you will be caught and exposed. You had to tell someone or several to feed your narcissism. Did you truly think this would never surface and no one would be wiser? Do you think your friends will keep the secret forever? Did you not realize that any correspondence received by staff or the board becomes public record? If not, then I guess you really can't fix stupid. Fair warning to you. The police have been notified, and I promise you, I will find out who you are. And when I do, I will expose you to the papers, social media, and any other means available to discredit you and your friends who knew about your plot and did nothing to discourage you. Again, to the staff, Commissioner Burns, Commissioner Lee, I did not request any records under the false name of B. Rasenko. You can rest assured I will always use my name in full, Bonnie Rasenko. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no other business. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.